Okay, this will hopefully also be another quick one. Bitwig has some cool features for making device presets, so I just want to talk about those a bit. So if you click here, you can save default presets and also save presets to the library, give them some name. And there's another cool one, which is if you take a VST, you have this arrow here, which allows you to basically embed a little chain in it. So you can save some stuff in here, and if you save this as a default preset, now you'll always have your little chain in here. And of course also there's the macros and the modulators. So I'm just gonna go through a couple that I have made and why I've made them, to maybe give you some ideas, but of course there's a lot you can do. And I'm also gonna show you one that's bad, because I didn't quite know what I was doing and I didn't fully understand the difference between modulators and remotes yet. So yeah, first of all I have a Pro Q3 one, and this one is simply two different types of high passes, one for the side, one for the mid, just because I found myself not doing with side EQ enough. So if I have this here, I can just click here, have one for the mid, create bands for the sides, and it's a lot quicker than just having nothing in here and then having to, you probably know by now that I hate drop down menus. You can go here and pick the stereo. You don't have to do that this way. So the threshold, I suppose, for starting to do mid-side EQ is a lot lower, and I'm lazy. So this is what it takes to get me to do it. Then I have, this is my default one by the way. Then I have another one for Pro Q3. This just has 4 remotes. And the nice thing about remotes, now I've done something stupid here. What makes them a bit better than modulator macros, in my opinion, is that they react, so they're absolute values. While modulators, if you shifted this around here, it wouldn't change the modulator. And also you can see here, down at the bottom here, the different frequency values. Enter a value manually if you want a precise value. So I just have this one, so I can set these 4 bands however I need them. And then I can easily automate them here. So I kind of have a hybrid between these macros, which are a bit easier to use for automation, because you can just click them here and create all your different lanes and stuff. But also I can have the visual here if I wanted, and it's all coordinated. So when I change something here, it changes here. So I don't know, I find it useful. Then next one, some plugins have multi-outs. So I have here ST1B, which is a transient shaper, a simpler version of a more complex transient shaper. And I saw on the website that it has 2 different outputs. So if you add the missing chains here, you have the transient out and the residual out, which I'm gonna turn off this reverb here. Basically makes this a transient splitter, and it's a bit cleaner than, for example, this spectral transient split, and also takes less CPU. So it's just something nice to have if you have this plugin anyways. Some other plugins allow this too, like a lot of sample libraries have this kind of setup. And here, these are just macros for the these parameters here. I use remotes here and not macros because I only really need 2, and I don't like when stuff takes up too much space in here. So this is a bit narrower and a bit nicer, so I can see more stuff at once. Then next one, dynamics. This is mostly for sidechaining stuff, sort of what I showed in another video. These are all deactivated, so they don't take CPU, but if I ever want to use this for sidechaining, I already have a time shift here, I have a transient shaper here, and an EQ here. I can just don't have to type in here EQ2 or whatever, it doesn't take too much time, but it's just a bit faster. and it's just nice to have. You can just save as default preset and done. Then for this, I'm not quite sure what the original default preset is, but basically I have both bands deactivated. Took me a while to figure this out, that you can just click here and it turns off the band. So I have these both bands, and I mostly use this because it's narrower than EQ5, so I can just use this for high passing and low passing. And for anything else, I usually use Pro Q anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Then next one, harmonics of C3. This is the resonator bank, but I've tuned all these to harmonics of C3, so you can enter note values here. C4, as you can see, G4, C5, E5, so this is just the overtone series, and then I probably want to turn these up a bit, actually, for the default one. So I use this because C3, because if I turn this up, then the key tracking automatically works. But also I can just use this, and for example, if I want to have an F sharp or something, I can just 6 semitones. I have the overtones as default, and I can always detune them. But detuning, of course, takes a lot less time than tuning. Then the next, the tool. This is the current one. I changed this today. So basically, I made this originally because the tool, I don't know, it's just takes a lot of time, and I don't really need this a lot of space. Don't really need this meter, so I just turned it off. And instead I have these parameters, which are a bit easier to use for me. For example, I often use this to automate something to 0. But if you use this and you want to take it down to 0 and then you want to take it up again, you have to be quite precise to find 0 again here. Whereas if you already have this set up, you can just, top is 100%, 0 is 0, so you can just go here, and know that this doesn't change the volume, and it's just easier because you can go all the way up. Then gain plus minus 10 dB. This is in 10 dB because this is, as you can see, in percent. So I know that it's 2 dB if I put 20% and so on, which is just a bit, as you can see here in the bottom left, 2 dB, which is just a bit easier for precise values. Then this flips the phase instead of having to manually do it. This is mostly useful because sometimes it's nice to be able to quickly flip phase, comparing kicks to basses and stuff, mixing them together, and having one button that does it is just easier for ABing stuff than mono. Just makes it mono, turns down the width. Pan, I mostly have here because I have this closed by default, so it doesn't take too much space, but I often want to pan stuff. So I just made a little macro here. And then this is an LFO which is mapped to the gain, because I often use this tool to make some kind of tremolo or something, so I can quickly set that up and don't have to search for this anywhere. Also, I just had one space left, so I thought I might as well put it in. And I have this turned on by default, so it doesn't automatically tremolo anything, because this is, as I say, just my default tool. Then K-clip 0, just some simpler one. If you don't really like looking at plugin interfaces a lot of the time, but the issue with this is that, as far as I can tell, the gain linking doesn't work if you just use these knobs here. So I set one up that just automatically turns down the output when I turn up the input. So I have some kind of auto gain, and then of course soften. And that's all I need for this really, so it takes up a lot less space if I just want to quickly clip stuff. I don't really like these visuals, so either I have here an oscilloscope I can look at, or I can just look here at millimeters. This is often much nicer. Then this is a bad one. This is for Pro C2, but here I used these modulators instead of just remotes, which is not ideal because if I then want to use this interface, I can change stuff here, turn the attack all the way up, but it's not turned all the way up here. So if I then turn it down all the way here, it doesn't go down here and so on. So yeah, this is a bit annoying, and I'm just gonna actually delete this now and do it with remotes, which will probably be a bit nicer. And so yeah, I can have attack here, release here, threshold here, ratio here, style here, knee here. Also you can, for example, see the style value on the bottom left, and here too. So yeah, that's nice. Ratio, knee, threshold. What else do I want? I had a sidechain filter here set up previously, so I can just turn this all the way down if I don't want it, and then I think I have this sidechain here set up somewhere. Sidechain low frequency. This, yeah, exactly. So if I want a sidechain filter, for example, to turn down the bass of a kick or something, I can just use this. And then what else? Dry gain, dry wet maybe, or maybe bypass I don't really need. Hold time range I don't really use. MIDI state audio triggering. Auto release I think would be nice to have some quick way to turn it off and on. Either that or dry wet, but I don't really do that much parallel compression, so I don't really care. Then this one, this is a System Audio Bridge by Bird. I think his website is Bird's Things or something. It's the guy that does rolling sampler. So I just have in the output of this a rolling sampler, because when I want to get audio from my system into bitwig for some reason, I usually just want to resample stuff of YouTube or whatever. So I can just open this rolling sampler here, and there's enough videos on this I think, so I won't really explain what this does, but it's just a recorder. So I can, if I have some system audio, route it into the DAW with this and then resample it. And then yeah, this is just to demonstrate. I have this EQ in here. Because after reverb it's often nice, and it's nice to have a little spectrum analyzer. So yeah, I don't use this EQ that much. So I just have this here, and I think those are all of my presets. Unless I remember anything else, but I don't think so. So yeah, yeah, I do have one more actually, because I wanted to prepare or test some stuff for MPE. So for this BBC Symphony Orchestra thing, this is gonna take ages to load now, but I have this what's it called, expressions in here, and I have it already mapped to the mod wheel and I think the vibrato control or something like that, just so it's quicker to use. And also I have a MIDI cap here. I'm gonna make a separate video about this probably, just so it has a different title and is easier to search and stuff. But this is basically allows you to do Ableton's capture MIDI feature, which a lot of people that come from Ableton will probably miss. So yeah, this is by the same guy that does rolling sampler, and it just allows you to, this is not a MIDI track, but if I just move this over here, you can see it always records MIDI. So I have this in a bunch of instruments, also in Complete and Vital and all my synths and stuff. So it always captures MIDI. So if I play something here, I can just take this, drag it in here, and I have the MIDI, and I don't have to commit to a record button or anything. So yeah, I think that's it. Those are all the ones I found anyways. It's not a very complicated thing. It's just easy to set up, so it usually pays off to do it, and it's just nice to have some things already there, because if you find yourself doing something over and over again, of course, might as well just hit this button and you don't have to ever do it again. And especially this volume knob here is probably the most useful of all of these. And these here, these time shift and so on, because I just have built-in look ahead. It's just nice to have. So yeah, that's it. Bye.